Good morning, everyone. Beautiful morning. When the sun is shining, it's beautiful. So today, I want to talk about, obviously, this week we're going to bless the month of Elul. We're a little over 30 days before Rosh Hashanah. And so I have this idea in my mind that's kind of percolating and developing, and I want to see where it goes as Rosh Hashanah, high holidays, Elul, as a language of love. So generally, when I have an idea, I start with a core question in order to develop it. Because if you don't ask a question, then you're not curious. Then you don't want to know more and you can't develop an idea. So the question I'm going to start off with is if God is quote unquote perfect, that's what Judaism teaches, what prompted God to create us? And what void was God seeking to fill in creating you and me? Now, one of the answers that is provided in Kabbalah is based on uh, many verses in the Torah and in the Talmud that God desired marriage. I'll explain. The most accomplished, the most self sufficient single person would be God. God is the perfect single, lacking nothing. And at the same time, God cannot marry himself. Marriage necessitates the existence of someone distinct from yourself with whom to share your life. That's the idea. It's someone that's not you that you can share your life with. This union of husband and wife. Now, according to Kabbalah, God chose the Jewish people as his bride. We can talk about chosen this a different time. It's unfortunately, provoked a lot of things over the years. But for now, we're going to take that at Kabbalah face value and not at the value that people have attributed to. And now, in this relationship between us and the Jewish and God, the bride would reveal the idea here is the bride would reveal the divine oneness pervading the entire cosmos. Now, let's fast forward. My gosh, what a marriage. If you call this a marriage, what a marriage. I mean, a roller coaster of romance, of affection, of quarrel, of estrangement in every generation. Many counselors advocated a divorce. There are many of us that have claimed the groom is dead. God doesn't exist. But this relationship has endured. And I think the reason is because both partners know deep down that they ultimately belong together. When all layers are removed, the human person yearns for meaning, for a union with a higher power, for a union with God. God craves a relationship with us. Now, what is this season? We're about to enter Elul. What is it all about? This entire high holiday season that we're about to enter is the annual re-experience of the marriage between God and us. Now, there are 5 primary milestones in this season, and they are parallel to the 5 phases of a conventional courtship or a conventional union. And the holidays, this time in our lives, invites us to journey through this process again and to rejuvenate and to reaffirm and almost like what an anniversary is, we're reclaiming this relationship. So this week, we're going to enter the month of Elul. Kabbalah describes the month of Elul as, here we've said it before, that the king is in the field, but literally the way it describes it is the king goes out in the field to meet with his people, greeting them with kindness and tenderness and displaying a joyous face to all. In our present day vernacular, we call it a date. Elul is a date. So just as the conventional dating process allows two people involved to become acquainted with each other with joy, serenity. So the month of Elul, it provides us with an opportunity to get to know God in a genuine and profound way, not this idea of like the king on the throne, but a real date, a real relationship. God comes out to the field, as it were, longing to meet you and I where we are and to connect with us in our natural and authentic state. Now, God is apparently not a fan of drawn out dating, and neither is God fearful of commitment. So we know what's going to happen. 4 weeks from the date, we're going to date for 4 weeks. The eve of Rosh Hashanah, God is going to make a proposal. God is going to say, I'm crazy over you. Will you marry me? Now, the question is communicated to the heart of each of us. And so, as the sun sets over the horizon of a year gone by, God proposes. For us, as the bride, as the one who's proposed to, it's not an easy decision to make. Because to be married to God is a formidable task. It means to live with transcendence. It means to live with discipline, to live with endless mystery. It means to challenge myself daily to go beyond my ego, beyond my insecurities, to align my posture with divine infinity. It's the constant readiness to challenge my moral failures and to stand by the highest levels of integrity and truth. And there's a whispering voice within that persists that if we're going to avoid this relationship, we're going to deny ourselves the fulfillment and the happiness we're capable of achieving in our lives. We were designed to be godly human beings. We were designed to be conduits for the cosmic heart. So what do we say to God? Thanks for the proposal. Let me sleep on it. And what a night is Rosh Hashanah. The world goes haywire. The great Kabbalist Rabbi Isaac Luria said during the night of Rosh Hashanah, the consciousness animating the universe becomes weak. The great Jewish mystics would feel physically weak during the night of Rosh Hashanah. All of existence, according to Kabbalah, is brought into being for the sake of this marriage. And if we refuse the proposal, the entire creation was in vain. The entire cosmos, every galaxy, every blade of grass, every grazing animal, every electron, genome, plant, every speck of dust awaits the decision. Are we going to accept the proposal? And on the morning of Rosh Hashanah, a piercing sound rises from earth. The cry of the shofar. The cry of the shofar. It's a simple, unsophisticated cry expressing our acceptance, our quintessential yearning to touch heaven. At that moment, when we sound the shofar, we've decided, dear God, our answer is yes. Now, God is not one for long engagements. The wedding day is 10 days later, Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, 10 days after Rosh Hashanah, is described as the time of oneness, in which the cosmic bride and groom forge a bond for eternity. In the Jewish tradition, the bride and groom fast on their wedding day. On the day we unite with God, we abstain from food and drink as well. And the Talmud says that upon marriage, all the sins of the groom and bride are forgiven. When you come out from under the chuppah, it's like you're totally forgiven. Everything starts anew. And that's why this day is called Yom Kippur. When you get married, that day that you get married is your personal Yom Kippur. And so we have this every year. 10 days after we accept, we get married, the Day of Atonement. And the marriage ceremony begins with a stirring melody, Kol Nidre. We annul our vows for the coming year. Kol Nidre. We've spoken about this before, but what is it all about? It's the courage we cultivate to remove the power from all those promises, from all those vows, from all those addictions that tie us down, opening our neural pathways to new possibilities. And during these profound moments, we attempt to free ourselves from compulsive behavior, from toxic habits. We let go of traumas. We let go of pains, of resentments, of animosity, of anger, of fear, of envy, all of the things that hold us hostage. The traditional Jewish marriage ceremony culminates with the bride and groom entering a secluded room. It's called a cheder yichud, or it's a seclusion, and they spend time alone with each other. Yom Kippur also has this. It culminates with Ne'ilah. The closing prayer of Yom Kippur, as the sun sets and Yom Kippur leaves, the gates of heaven are wide open. It's a secluded room with us inside, just me and God, just you and God. During Ne'ilah, every soul is alone with God. And then, when the bride and groom exit their private room, the party begins. From Yom Kippur, we leap into a 7-day festival of Sukkot. The Torah describes this time as the time of our joy. These days are filled with feasting and ecstatic happiness. We build a hut, a sukkah, outdoors, and we celebrate for 7 days the marriage between God and us. Actually, a real marriage also usually has 7 days of Sheva Brachot. And we eat and we drink and we sing and we dance and we just enjoy being in the oneness. The wedding feast is over and the guests and the relatives have returned home. And in the consummation of the relationship, the bride and groom experience intimacy. Their lives melded together as husband and wife. So following the 7 days of Sukkot, we reach the zenith of the high holiday season. And that is Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah. This year, Simchat Torah is going to land a little differently for us than in years past. I know there's a lot of people who are celebrating October 7th. But for us as Jews, October 7th is not really the day. That's a secular day. The day of that terrible, terrible event that will forever be etched in our consciousness was Simchat Torah last year. Simchat Torah is the pinnacle. It's described in the writings of the Arizal and the Tanya and the Vilna Gaon as the time of intimacy with God. During this time, our joy is to reach its peak. And we and God, we merge into a seamless whole. There's a divine seed that is planted in each of our hearts. It's one of the reasons why on the festival of Shmini Atzeret, we pray for rain, because what is rain? In the midst of intimacy between heaven and earth, there's procreative drops from heaven that are absorbed, that are fertilized, and they're nurtured by Mother Earth, which in time will give birth to its botanical children. So this day is a day of intimacy, when all new souls to be born this year are spiritually conceived. This year, as it lands differently, I think it's important that we think about that it's very easy for us to feel the pain and the suffering. But one of the most beautiful things that I learned in Israel is the idea of spiritual rebirth and rebirth. That when we mark a day, it's a time for that experience to be reborn. And so if you think about it as a day of intimacy, when all the new souls are to be born, let us give that energy this year for the new souls to be born. And then the honeymoon is going to come to an end. And the excitement and the emotions are going to begin to fade. And what are we left with in this metaphor of marriage? The marriage becomes about caring for each other. It becomes about demonstrating trust and loyalty as husband and wife are going to work through the day, the daily grind of life. And out of the 12 months of the Jewish calendar, the only one lacking a single festive day is the one that immediately follows the high holiday season, the month of Cheshvan. Why? Because this is the time to build a genuine relationship with our marriage partner in our everyday lives. No fanfare, no drama, just learning to find meaning and love in the daily chores of life. This is the time to discover the joy born out of a continuous relationship with God. And during these so-called mundane days and nights that define the bulk of our life on planet Earth, it is our job to take the emotions, the energy, the excitement, the feelings, the sadness, the pain, all of those things, all of our different parts, every part of us, the things that we show, the things we don't show, the things that we know, the things that we don't know, and discover how ordinary moments, how ordinary experiences can be extraordinary, as long as the love is flowing in our veins, as long as we're curious, as long as we want to connect. And so we're going to start this process this week. We can already start today. The process of dating God, of refinding that relationship. And I think this year, everything's landing differently this year. This year, it's going to land differently if we allow it to. And that dating process that we're about to start today is a process that we should allow, and we should allow all of our parts and all of our emotions and all of our being to be able to experience it. And I'll finish off with a little blessing to you. Hashem should bless you. and all of us, that this dating and engagement and marriage with God should be fruitful. It should be fruitful for us and for the world, and bring the world into a state of peace, bring our hostages back, and be able to come out of this season that's going to mark a very, very difficult, one of the most difficult, maybe the most difficult time in our life, but may it be marked with a new rebirth. And may all of us be able to see the joy and peace that come from it.